Boar Lane is in the northeast of the city in Sprowston. The new cycle track runs between the end of the existing cycle track near Tesco's, along Boar Lane, and then south down to Salhouse Road. The original cycle track, which ended at Tesco's, had a short section on the end of it which was too narrow for cycling. The new cycle track joins this narrow section, and so we have a ridiculous situation where there is a no cycling section at the start of the new cycling track. The cycle track then follows Boar Lane over a Toucan crossing and along to the bend where the road turns south, and at that point the cycle track just stops. It picks up again shortly afterwards and runs along the other side of Boar Lane down to Salhouse Road. So let's ride it. And we'll join the route just outside the Tesco Superstore on the part of the path that was already there before the new one got built. And just ahead of us is the section where we're supposed to get off and push. See if you can spot it. Notice there's a cycle symbol on the path ahead. But you see that pole up ahead? On the other side is a shared use cycle symbol. But on our side there's a very small end of cycle route sign. So we'll be good, obedient cyclists and get off and push through this section. Now, of course, and perhaps fairly obviously, most people who ride down here don't get off and push through this section. I mean, why would they? It's a cycle track. Why is it here? Well, apparently Norfolk County Council couldn't get the extra ground to build a slightly wider footpath. I suspect actually they didn't try very hard. To be fair, we have been told they're going to buy the extra land, but we'll see. Oddly enough, if you get to the other end and turn around, you'll see there's a cyclist dismount sign. Actually, there should have been one of those at the other end according to the plan. Okay, enough of all this silliness. So we get back on the bike now and we head off down Boar Lane on this nice new cycle track. Boar Lane can be a very busy road when it wants to be. We seem to have picked a very quiet day today though. It's not always like this. And actually, I have to say, the surface here is very good. It's very smooth. We go past a side junction which takes you through the woods to the housing estate, the other side of the woods, and then we arrive at the Toucan crossing. Now, if you look at the markings on the cycle track ahead, just beyond the Toucan crossing, you'll see it gives the impression we're supposed to join the carriageway here, but we don't. This is a Toucan crossing and we can go on to the other side. The crossing actually seems to work quite quickly, and once on the other side we carry on along Boar Lane. I will say that this section of the path, apart from the cyclist dismount section that we've just been through, isn't too bad. It's a shared use path, so yeah, but it's not bad. The surface, as I say, is really nice, and this section is quite well lit. In fact, these are new street lights which came with the cycle track. Eventually things do start to get a little bit difficult because we come to some trees which are, I have to say, quite nice trees, and so the cycle track footpath does narrow quite considerably as it goes past, and there's a few of these trees. But we can live with that, that's not too bad. Now, some people can never understand why cyclists don't like using shared use paths, and this is why. We have to share the road with pedestrians, and that can be very slow sometimes. Shared use pavements are substandard. No two ways about it. We get past the trees though, and we come towards the bend. Now, the first thing to notice is the people waiting to cross the road at the bend. They are trying to get to Laundry Lane on the right there, which takes you through to the houses the other side of the woods. Immediately beyond them is the Sprowston Sports and Social Club, where a lot of people want to go. Now, both of these things existed before this cycle track was built, but absolutely no provision was put in place to reach them. But as you'll see, things are about to get a lot worse. The blue sign on the pole ahead says cyclists rejoin the carriageway. Yes, at this point the cycle track just finishes. Now, just up the road we had a Toucan crossing to help us get across. This is the same road, the same amount of traffic, so why isn't there a crossing here? And to make things worse, where the Toucan crossing was, there's good street lighting. Here there isn't. It's very dark at night. This is just plain dangerous. So we have to join the carriageway, ride in the traffic for a bit, and then get on the cycle track when it restarts on the other side of the road. This is a textbook example of how not to design cycle infrastructure. The new park being built on the left will include a skate park, which is likely to attract kids from all over the area who would want to use this cycle route to get to the skate park, and they've got to get through that gap. Anyway, once past the park on the left, we come to the really entertaining bit of the ride, the Woodland section. Now, today is a nice sunny day, and you're going to be seeing this at its very, very best. It looks really nice, doesn't it? This is a really pleasant ride on a summer's day through the woodland. What more could you want? Well, one thing you could want is a slightly better running surface. The beginning of it isn't too bad. It's small crushed stones, it's quite a nice surface. But once we cross over the fire track ahead, the surface isn't so good. It contains a lot of very sharp angular stones, which aren't going to be good for tyres. The main problem here, though, is that it's very dark at night. This is not the sort of place a woman would want to come alone. It's not the sort of place, really, a bloke wants to come alone either. It is quite scary after dark. The path wanders off into the woodland. We're basically following the road, or trying to, but the path takes a very indirect route. And we go really quite a long way out of our way, and then turn back eventually, and very slowly we make our way back to Boar Lane. And once we reach Boar Lane again, there's another short section of shared use pavement along the side of the road. Actually, it gets very narrow here somewhat in some places, but yes, it takes us up to Salhouse Road at the traffic lights. And that's the Boar Lane cycle track. So that's the ride on a nice summer's day. What's it like at night? Now, the whole point of building cycle infrastructure is to make things safer for cyclists, to provide a safe route where you're away from the traffic and away from the dangers. That's especially true when it's not a nice sunny day, when it gets dark, perhaps at night. So let's see how well the Boar Lane cycle track copes with night time. It's about 5 o'clock at the moment on a late October afternoon. The sun has gone down, the street lights are just switching on. It's twilight, we're not dark yet. So as we set off from the Tesco car park, same as before, we eventually get to the first of the discontinuities where we have to get off and push. So you've seen all this bit before, and as I said in the previous section, the first bit of the cycle track isn't too bad, so we'll speed things up now until we get to the more interesting section. So we get to the point where the cycle track narrows to get past the trees, which are a bit difficult to see in the dark. Maybe some white paint on the path would help to show where the routes are. From here on, we've only got the old street lighting, which really isn't very good, and it does get very dark. So we get past the trees, and then on the left we have the crossing point to Laundry Lane, which is difficult enough during the day, frankly. At night, it's quite horrendous. And then, just beyond that, we have the crossing point to the Sprowston Sports and Social Club. So that's two places, in quite rapid succession, where people cross the road on this bend. Once we get round the bend, our cycle track finishes and we have to cross the road. So that's 3 crossing points on the bend. Getting across here at night is not fun. See, I would have thought that considerations of safety would have prevented something like this getting built. They do safety audits on these things. Surely if the safety audits are worth having, this bit wouldn't have been allowed. It's just crazy. So we get onto the road, we ride with the traffic for a bit, and then we're on to the bit past the new park. So I'll speed this bit up again as well. So here we go into the woods, and it is dark. Even though, you know, it still isn't fully dark outside, in the woods it's dark. And the first thing you notice is how hard it is to follow the path. I mean, there's a lot of leaves around at the moment because it's autumn, which don't help, admittedly. But even so, it would be difficult to find the edge of the path. So we carry on. I've got a very powerful LED headlight, which casts quite a strong beam. And eventually I realised I've got to aim it forward a bit so I can see where I'm going. The sound you will hear once we get to the fire track is genuine.
I can't see you.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. All I can hear is light, see light. Sorry.
Sorry about that. I've got it aimed high so I can see where I'm going. Yeah, so I dazzled her. That couldn't have been very pleasant. But it's only about 5:15. It's not very late. You know, it's reasonable to expect people to want to commute along this route at this time of the day. This is not a place for women to come alone at night. This section in particular, this isn't suitable. This is not a real cycle route that you can use for your safety and your protection. Just what were they thinking when they built this? You know, they probably thought bicycles, oh, that's what people ride on a nice sunny day when they want to go out for a bit of fun. No, bicycles are a means of transport. Where you ride should be safe, and it should make you feel confident to ride your bike. This does not do that. I mean, also, if you don't know the layout of this track, how are you supposed to follow it even? I mean, there's nothing, there's no guidance, there's no little reflectors along the edge or anything like that. And at this point, of course, we rejoin Boar Lane. So, in summary, Boar Lane. Dangerous, not fit for purpose. Totally and utterly substandard. We really should not be building cycle infrastructure like this.